So the last form we're going to look at is a sphere. Now you may have a circular template on your table, you may have a compass, you just need to use that to draw a nice light circle. Okay, and once you've got your circle, we're then going to put our little marker in again to show us where our light side, dark side, medium sides are going to be. So obviously your light is up here, your dark is down here, and your medium is somewhere around the middle in between those two. So again, we're going to have to use some of the circular shading that we've looked at when we've been looking at the shapes with the ellipses, so the cylinder and the cuboid. Okay, so again, starting with my darkest area, which is going to be down here at this edge. You know, I like to do this, I like to come across quite quickly. I like to start marking out where my medium and my lighter tones are going to start developing, just so when I start shading I've got a reference. So then I'm going to start shading in darker down here with some of those curvier lines. So I'm coming up, I'm meeting up with the edge, and I'm curving downwards. And again, not shading in all sorts of different directions. You can go over, once you've shaded in one direction, with another direction to smooth it out and get rid of any tones like I do, but to start off with, stick to the one direction, because if you don't, it'll become very messy and very confusing. Right, so as we come up here now, we need to start moving into our medium tone. So I'm starting to do my medium tone now. Still working from the edge, still curving round. And then as I start to get towards this point here, I'm going to have to think about maybe changing the curve of my shading a little bit so I can reach the top of the circle without it looking too obvious. And we know that part of the circle up there needs to be the very lightest tone around that section there. So I'm going very, very lightly up there. And I'm just going to start to use a bit of a shading in a different direction to try and make sure that I haven't got any like there. I've got a bit of a line that goes from a very dark to a medium without blending. So I'm just working over that. So with my pencil, flat to the page as I can get it, to try and blend all that in. But just as we did with the cylinder, I'll always go back on top and circular shade over the top of it to make sure we are looking 3D. And then as I come up here to the top, like I say again, just switching it round, circular shading that way. So now I'm going to move on to this half of my circle. Done it in halves because it does help me to do that. Once I know I've got one side right, it's just a case of copying it to the other side. But again, shading around that curve, shading in the curvy line. So curving and meeting up with that side. I'm just gradually starting to work my way up, getting lighter, releasing the pressure with my pencil. Working back over in places to blend it in. Until we get to this lightest part up here at the top, where I'm barely pushing at all with my pencil. And then now I'm just going over in a different direction to just blend those tones in together and to make sure that I'm not leaving any of those white gaps. And it does take quite a long time just to get those tones sort of blending to a point where you're happy with, but once you are, then it's just a case of, again, I'm going to rub that little D marker out that I've put on there for you. I'm just going to go around this time just a little bit up at the side, down along the bottom, underneath there, and again we're just going to shade out darkest where it meets the form, and then just come out diagonally and just trail off our shading down that. And then once you've added a bit of shadow in, that's your sphere.